Welcome, everyone, to the weekly recap show. This is Winning in the Shadows. Andy and Jim joining you, where we talk openly and honestly, full transparency about how the last week of our bets went, talk some bankroll money management, but really just kind of recap how all of the bets went and where we stand. So, this is a. We don't know. I don't think we've done these before with doing them live. And I think we need to do more of it because there's just not a lot of people in the industry talking about bankroll management and winning streaks, losing streaks. And we're going to talk about this 8 straight profitable weeks, which is awesome and terrifying.
Yes.
It's the weirdest thing. So we want to try and get better with our craft and what you guys do as well. So we'll do this live. That way, if you guys want to ask us questions, bring up some things about bankroll, then we encourage you to do that. So Jim, what's just kind of your takeaway from last? I don't know. Talk about the last 8 weeks.
It's just been like if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of style. Like,
Yeah,
we started off with the same strategy at the beginning of this 8 weeks and just kind of, we both kind of just refused to deviate from the plan, which is more than we could ask for from some of our fighters and our golfers and
right.
everything. So I think just staying on plan is the discipline that we've had in these 8 weeks has most certainly kept us winning each week. There was plenty of plays that we laid off of that we liked, and we didn't play them. And if we would have played them, these numbers look way different, way different. So we've laid off where we've had to. We've gone big on what we've had to. We've pretty much made the good decisions, the responsible decisions, not the fun ones. But the
Yeah,
responsible ones. So, but if you want to be profitable, sometimes it's not fun. I'd rather be profitable.
yeah. You know what's fun? These numbers.
Mhm.
So, again, what you're noticing is the longer we continue these winning weeks, the fewer plays we end up putting out, and that's not an accident. So we only had 12 plays last week. I mean, coming off of 7 straight winning weeks, you would think, oh, pound it, like let's keep going, and we keep getting pickier and pickier. So we went 8-4 plus 12.09 units for 37.8% ROI. That is just monster numbers, and that is 8 straight profitable weeks. Like, you have to go back to June before
Yeah.
before you can find a losing week. So MMA went 3-2 for plus 4.95 units. Now, those were only plays that had only MMA pieces in it. Like, we'll go over the cross sport parlays. So golf went 1-2. Plays with just golf went 1-2 with minus 2.9 units. So I'm already in a bad mood about that. But the golf's been running really hot, and we cashed a nice cross sport parlay with golf. The lacrosse department closes out the regular season with 7 straight winners, 7-0. So lacrosse is doing great, 2-0 for plus 5 units. And then the cross sport parlays, 2-0 plus 5 units. And we used 2 soccer plays. I believe we used Jack Jenkins money line. We
Mhm.
used the Jenkins Burns under
Mhm.
as plays. We did use a lacrosse play to hedge out of one of the futures, which worked out great. And then we went back to our old faithful, Xander Schauffele, top 20. In the running for the best parlay piece of the year. The guy just,
Yeah, that's. I was going to say he's pretty much parlay MVP
he's,
right now. That bet is.
he's had 2 tournaments where he hasn't been top 20 this year. And one of them was, they delayed it. They just called the tournament in the middle of it. So I don't even know. I don't even know how the books would grade that one. So, like, yeah, we're literally looking at this parlay piece is hit every single time. And he's not even finishing. He's finishing second and first, and we're getting him in the top 20. It's a great parlay piece. So the parlay pieces worked great. The numbers are a little wonky because we had 2 lacrosse futures that we needed to be graded. One and one. One was a 3% win, where one was a 4% loser. So take like 1 unit off of the lacrosse profits. And that's your August 12th through August 18th record. Another nice thing is we passed on so many days that all access clients, those days just get moved to the end, so you're not getting charged for days that we don't have plays. And I just keep going back to it. Less is more. It just feels like the fewer plays, the more units we keep building in. So that brings us to our 2024 totals. 396 winners, 257 losers for 60.6% winners, plus 125.8 units, 8.4% ROI. And this is a crazy one. I was talking to Casey Miller earlier today. He's in the Discord, awesome guy. We were talking about just the power of exponentially building it. So we started with $10,000 last August 7th. So this is week 55. We're at $29,323. That's triple the bankroll. Triple the bankroll in 55 weeks. So our approach seems to be working really, really, really well. So, so I guess let's narrow it down here a little bit. Thoughts on just the last week of plays that we had?
I think we made a couple boo-boos in MMA, which I take personally. That's my department. So like Andy gets mad at golf, I get mad at MMA. I think we zigged when we should have zagged on a few. The good news is the plays that we went heavier on came through. I think totals went a little bit cold this week overall. Not so much our plays, but there was a lot of damage done to people's bankrolls with unders and finishing props. The prop market was a little brutal, to be honest with you. We had a couple miracle finishes late that, like the Jack Jenkins finish. How many people had him in round one by finish?
I said Jenkins in round one or
Nolan.
two. Tom Nolan. Tom Nolan was the biggest. That was the biggest, killed people.
Yeah, so kind of what I come away with, like the Walker finish in the first round. It was Walker by decision mostly.
You didn't have Walker by knee bar?
No, it wasn't on my bingo card. So
Aguilar by jump gilly? That was enough.
That's exactly the Aguilar under. So I think these method of victories going forward, they're gonna have to be a really confident play for me to give out.
Okay.
I need to be really confident on a finish going forward. And we're getting great numbers on parlaying money lines. There's no need to chase these method of finishes. There is this swing in MMA about wrestling, and if they like it, they don't like it. It was pretty obvious. I don't think it really affected the Gamrot fight as much as people were making it out to. He tried to wrestle. He just got stuffed by Dan Hooker.
It's a new Dan Hooker.
Yeah,
Where'd this guy come from?
It just burned as far as that. That being said, live show wise, MMA was an absolute godsend. Now we don't include all that in our record, in our bankroll, but if you guys have time, we say it every week. Our friends always ask, like, what are you doing Saturday night? Well, I'm watching MMA. Oh, again? It's like, you don't understand. I mean, we hit a plus 750, a plus 300. I think there was a plus 400 somewhere in there with Hooker.
If you were able to get Ricardo Ramos, that was your night there. That was one we talked about. The Dan Hooker was a good one, and Santos was the big misread. That one was just my God. I don't know what.
It's women's MMA. It happens. I mean, the misread is the misread. But in Contender Series as well, we hit a plus 154 based off of a walkout. A theory on the walkout. When a guy walks out with two of his college roommates as his cornerman and Ben Henderson's in the other corner, I'm betting the guy that's
that was you at your best, Jim. When you were like, "Who are those cornermen?" And then the other guy.
That wasn't
Ben
a tough
Henderson.
Kind of obvious.
It was a great one. It's a great read.
A week before, we had the equipment theory with Chelsea Chandler. Who was our drop up? Ricky Glenn dropping the mouthpiece just made us feel great about song. So I can't stress enough that these live shows, if you guys have time, tune in and hang out with us because There's things that you can't handicap, and the thing is, they can't be baked into the number. So you want to talk about value when you see somebody unprepared, especially for an MMA fight. That's where we go. Lacrosse, Dan is awesome. I don't know what to say other than that. Dan is one of my favorite people in the world this season. Cross-sport parlays continue to hit. We're continuing to find these spots and lay off the minus 600s, 400s that kill everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to do that in golf, you're going to bounce back from. Golf is Andy's thing. He's going to bounce back from. So I like where we're heading. We're heading into a busy time of year, and I think we keep this approach, we'll be looking pretty.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, like just look at the golf plays, but it doesn't take into account the big the Xander Schauffele one.
Yeah, yeah.
I was proud of myself. I laid off a lot of losers in golf on the
Mm-hmm.
individual round plays. That could have been a real dangerous one, but after day one, I was like, "There's something fishy about this," and you know what it was all the water hazards.
Yeah.
If you take an under and a guy hits one ball in the water, your round's over. So that's like overs is the way to play it when you got a course with a lot of water because you hit one in the water, you're looking at double bogey, and then it's just almost impossible to rebound from that. But small field in golf this week, only 50 players, so we got our last two tournaments of the regular season, and then we'll wait for the fall. But yeah, so 8 straight profitable weeks.
I know.
It can't continue. We know it can't continue, but we're trying our best. So
You say it every week, but the strategy is what's kept it going.
okay,
Yes, you have to have winning plays, but like you just said, if you would have fired away on what you liked in golf, and we would have had 2 or 3 more MMA plays, we would have been in trouble this week. We would look at maybe only a 1% profit.
mm,
So I think the strategy is what's keeping us safe. And the thing is that when we do have a losing week, because we will, it will happen at some point. We're hoping that it's only 1 to 2 units, and that's the key, is to limit your losses. We've done a good job with that all year, limiting the losses, waking up the next day with money in the account. That's where you want to be.
yeah. So just to reiterate some of the math on that, like if you start with, we were talking about this earlier. If you start with just say $2,000, and you win 50 units in like a short period of time, and now you've got that up to $3,000. If you go high volume and then you lose 50 more units, you're down to 1,500.
Yes.
You're down less than when you started with 2,000. But then you look at it on paper and you go, well, but I'm at 0 units.
Mhm.
It's like the nice thing about the higher your bankroll gets is obviously the more money you have in there, but you got to manage it because the quicker you can lose big amounts of money if you're not really, really careful with the bankroll. So that's why we try and do a recap every week as opposed to just wait until the end of the year and go, well, how many units with that. So this week it's this is a week that's right in our wheelhouse, man.
Yeah.
It's Dana White Contender Series. It's PFL. It's UFC. It's Formula One. It's golf playoffs. Like these are the sports that we've been doing really good in. So we do have a 5% UFC Dana White Contender Series plays. Those are up. We're running the buy 7 days for the price of 3, good till Tuesday night. So I would, if you're gonna use that special, get the 7 days price of 3. Just go ahead and get it today. We don't have any plays today, but your pack will be extended till next Wednesday, and actually probably beyond that because I don't think there's going to be some plays that we have. You also get a couple soccer plays. We got a 4% and a 3% soccer play. Corbin was very smart to kind of take it easy on the first weekend of soccer. Used a couple parlay pieces. We hit that, but he likes the card for this week. So buy 7 days for the price of 3. You're gonna get 5%. Our 5% MMA. You got Dana White Contender Series play that is up. You got PFL and you got 4% and 3% soccer play. So swinging for the fences this week, but we like the spot and think we can make it 9 weeks in a row. So. Love it, Tommy. shout out to Tommy Unders. I met him on Twitter last night. Tommy looks at MMA the same way we do, which is
Yes, I
looking
heard
at the
about you, Tommy. I heard
backstory.
about you.
Yeah, I was like, we got to get Tommy.
We got to chat, my friend.
Yeah, in the group chat. So, if you guys have not joined the Discord, link is in the description, but also you can just get that link there. It's the Winning in the Shadows Discord, and it is absolutely fantastic. Someone walked us through how he hit a live cricket
Mhm.
play today. And it was extremely well thought out.
Yeah.
Absolutely well thought out. He walked us through the game, and then bang, turns a profit on it. So we had someone mention esports, and
Mhm.
like don't like bring these up. These are the exact type of situations that we've made our bread and butter on. These are not the sports that everyone and their mother's betting and losing on. So yeah, this Discord channel, this is your safe space to talk about betting live cricket and esports and all that. So yeah, if you guys got any questions about bankroll, you can ask them in the comment section or the chat. If you want to leave a comment, that's fine. But just you can also reach out to me on Discord. Myself and Casey talked for about 45 minutes earlier about bankrolls, getting a plan moving forward. He's taking it really serious, doing all the right things, and he's going to be successful. So he's got the perfect mindset for it. So I'm easy to find and more than willing to reach out and talk, because if we don't talk about some of these things, then we're never going to get better. So so Jim, what's been your? Can you just share the story about like just when you got started and like what it like losing and then how
Oh yeah,
we've all
yeah.
started as losing, but most of us don't make the transition to
That's
winning.
right.
So in
That's right.
talking to Casey, I was like, I think you should hear Jim's story.
Yeah, so I got into sports betting when I met my wife. My father-in-law is a big, football nut. He's a gambler. Started betting NFL, and the biggest mistake I made in the beginning was I thought I was smarter than the rest of the world. And knowing a sport and loving a sport is very different than being able to bet on a sport. And I made every cardinal sin that you could make as a beginning sports bettor. It was betting on the teams you're a fan of, assuming that you knew everything about every player. MMA wise specifically, just assuming, okay, I know this guy's skill set. He's going to be better. There is so much that goes into it. And the biggest mistake that I made was just thinking that I could always win it back. You're on a Sunday, you're watching football, you get murdered in the 1 o'clock games. Well, let me just log into my bank account, put more money in my account. I'll win it back. Next thing you know, it's the following Thursday and your bank account's empty, your bankroll is shot. And it caused a big turmoil in my life. Me and my wife were not getting along at all regarding it. And it was a real wake up call. And I stumbled upon a NASCAR video with Andy and
Of
Steve
all things.
Merrill fighting the fast lane of all things, right? And I was like, you know what? There's just something. There's something about this guy. And then I noticed that he had an MMA show. Tuned into Takedown Live. This is why I'm saying getting that Takedown Live chat on the weekends, getting our live shows, because you meet people you never would ever meet in real life. And from that point forth, he just really like, what am I doing wrong? If all these guys are successful, what am I doing wrong? And Andy opened up my eyes. We just started talking, and honestly, from like day one, we hit it off. Um, Very like-minded as far as the way we approach things. He's toned me down over the years. I've gotten him a little more risque at points. So it's a good back and forth relationship, and I can't thank Andy enough from sharing all his knowledge. And if you guys have questions, please, reach out to Andy, reach out to myself. I'll tell you every pitfall that I've run into, because the one of the things that makes us the most happy with all of this is to hear other people's success by following this system. Because by following this system, going back to the road to millions, only making 3% a week. If we can only make 3% a week, we can be successful. We're crushing that 3% a week at this
Crushing.
point.
Absolutely
Crushing it.
crushing.
So it's the mentality. You have to have the mentality. You have to treat it like a business, and it still can be fun. All right. But listen, when everybody zigs, you got to zag. That's the biggest thing that I learned in here. You have to be smart with your money. At the end, it's not a game. This is your finances. This is your financial future. It's your happiness. You have to be responsible with it. And once you do, like you said, look, winning's fun. It's the most fun thing.
It's a lot of
So
fun.
if the Jets go 0-8, I don't in the beginning, I don't care. As long as I'm cashing bets in the Jet game, I'm happy. All right. We'll go from there. I'll deal with championships later. So really reach out, share your story. The biggest thing you can do is talk and,
Y-
get you on the right track.
Yeah, so you guys have been following us for a while. You kind of know what our strategy is. We are always betting on things that are really off the beaten path. I truly believe that there are gigantic holes that the sports books leave open with some of these plays that are just not a lot of people are betting, and those are the ones that we look for. I haven't looked at an NFL spread in years. Um,
Yeah.
not as a serious wager, but I will absolutely take John Rahm to finish top 10 and live when they keep paying him at the exact same price every week, even though he's finished top 10 every single tournament except for the one he withdrew in. So, those things, and I think what's just been the biggest like thank God we can actually brag about this now is how low volume is how you make the most
Yeah.
money.
It
We
needs to be
we
talked about more. It
it
does.
it,
It
it
needs to be
does.
talked about more.
These results that we have from low volume are pretty incredible. We talked about we called our shot going into the summer. We were like, most people, oh, this is the dog days of summer. Everyone's going to be betting baseball every day. And we were like, no, we're going to do this with bets on only 3 or 4 days a week. Maybe we'll go 7 days with 10, 11, 12 plays. And that's about it. And you can see how quickly that the units just pile up. On Wager Talk, I was number 2 in NHL profits. I would I would have one play a week
Yeah.
sometimes, but if you could just really, really say no, we're only taking the best of the best, the low hanging fruit. I do not need to wake up with the mentality of what baseball play am I playing today. I
Mhm.
wake up with the mentality of what is the absolute best value this week, and if it's nothing today, then good for it. I mean, you look at these. It's kind of interesting. It is all of these sports that we hit this week. MMA. That's what Contender Series on a Tuesday, PFL on a Friday, UFC on a Saturday. So those three
Mhm.
promotions are once a week. Golf, one tournament.
Mhm.
Lacrosse, those are what 4 or 5 games
Yeah.
a week, and then the cross sport parlay. We used all of them. These are sports that are not taking place, every single day. Leagues that are not taking place every single day. So I really, really wish that more people would adopt the strategy of low volume. It's a way to protect yourself from getting wiped out on a
Mhm.
really, really bad week. If you have a bad week when you have 30 plays, you are smoked. If you have a bad week with 12 plays, that's just part of it. You're gonna be
That's gonna
okay.
happen.
Yeah, yeah. Austin, yeah. Click me once you compare it to the financial markets. That's how you have to compare it.
Mhm.
Compare your bankroll to the financial markets. What's your financial guy telling you? Like, oh, he's up. It's okay. So, all right, financial guy, how much are we up in the stock market from January 1st through August? What are we up? 5%, 4%? All right. Well, if you're beating that, you're doing great.
Mhm.
And we're not only beating that, we're smoking that. We're up 125 units. So, and the other nice thing is when you do this low volume and you see these units pile up, to me, one of the biggest differences about like stocks and retirements, you got to constantly keep putting money into those accounts. You could, we can do this without putting in. I haven't put money in my sports books in years, just depending on the winnings. And my
Mhm.
God, what a nice relaxing thing that is to not have to dump money into your sports books every single week. So
No, you don't have to explain it to your better half. It's just they know you're doing well when there's no deposits. And after the way I started, trust me, it gets checked and rightfully so. And yeah,
oh, Austin is the finance guy. That's great. That's great.
you
I
know
mean,
what? You
serious.
jog my memory. Good.
It's no, it's seriously, Austin. Like, when can you get these kind of returns? Last year we were up 91 units, so this isn't like some one-off thing. Like, if you immediately start looking at it, like, well, if this was a stock portfolio, how would you be? You'd be investigated.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. If this was a stock market, they'd be going, wait a minute, let's check this guy out here.
yeah, and listen, we're not gonna win. We're not gonna win like this all the time, but enjoy the ride. And it's weird since we started doing these weekly recaps, we haven't had a losing week. So I'm ready and prepared to do on a losing week, and that'll be good because we'll talk about the mentality of what to do when you're losing and how we can break out of it and stuff. But I'm the lower volume. It's like a just a safety thing that you just put in place, but
Mhm.
like for yourself. It's something you do so the present you is protecting the future you. So yeah, so
You
that's
jog my memory on something real quick. I just want to make sure I say to everybody. So when we're talking about bankroll reset, and we're talking about our weekly, I want you guys to look at this almost day to day. If you lose on a Saturday night and you get up on a Sunday, say you're down 5 units, all right? Hopefully you won't be, but if you are, when you get up Sunday, you cannot have the mentality of, I need to get back to where I was. You have a brand new bankroll. Your job is to finish not losing any more money that following day, okay? Or be up. If you already have a play in, as in after you lose, don't add plays. Okay, please don't. That is where people get in the most trouble. Is if you have a $10,000 bankroll and you lose 2 grand, you're thinking you have to get back to 10,000 to be on a roll again. It's going to take time. Don't rush it. Just keep stacking wins and stacking wins and stacking wins. I think that's where most people get in trouble is the endorphins from looking at that bankroll and seeing 15,000, 9,000, 12,000, whatever your bankroll is, 100,000, and you lose, you want to feel that again when you go back there. But you only do it with low volume and creeping your way back in. We're going to go on hot streaks. Don't compound a losing streak and make it worse. You have a brand new bankroll if you have a losing night the following day. Okay? Let it be. It's okay to have a losing day. It's not good to have a losing month. Okay? Losing days are going to happen.
yeah, we've had losing weeks where we'll go into a weekend and just be like, God, it is not clicking this week. We're
Mm-hmm.
down 9 units, and yeah, it's a weekend. It's like, you know what? Let's just be done with this week. Let's not make a problem worse. That's really hard to do when you're losing. You want to get that money. You just don't
Yeah.
want to get the money back. But
When the main event in the UFC comes around and you haven't bet it all week, like Adesanya and DPP, where everybody piled on Izzy after round 2 and 3, that's the mistake. Okay. That is the error. That's the mistake. Just take the L and move on if you're down.
well, so Austin says the fact that you're looking at doubling your money is great. We're doing better than that. So
Yeah.
what we do for our bankroll reset is, and yeah, we haven't talked about bankroll reset in a while. So
Mhm.
this is strictly what I do. This is just the method that I use for myself and my own bankroll. So we have a week, and at the end of the week, we do the recap, and then you add or subtract the units that you had, and that gives you your new bankroll for the week. And so I track this. If we started with $10,000 last August 7th, and this spreadsheet, by the way, is in the Discord. It's free. You guys can do it. I got another little surprise that I'm working on for everybody for in the Discord chain. You guys are gonna love it. So like we started with, 10,000, and it's pretty simple. You just put in like this. This was we were up 10.3 units. So you plug it in, and it gives you your new bankroll for the week, and then that's your new, you know what your new unit is. And if you look, I mean, we started off good, but then I mean, we kind of got our asses kicked there
Mm-hmm.
for a little bit, and then like we were down from 10,000 all the way down to 8,000. But you just do the bankroll resets and you stick with it. What you find is the bigger your bankroll gets, the bigger the units are, and that way the units just keep piling up. And now when you started with 10,000, 1 unit was $100. Well, the more and more, the bigger and bigger it gets, and so now,
No
55,
$100 no more.
yeah, 55 weeks later, we're at 29,323. So we're on the edge of tripling a bankroll. So, um, Let's see. Do you guys run any issues with bet limits? So you have to have as many sports books as possible. Like, and there are many ways that you can protect yourself from getting limited. I have been limited on a million of them. A lot of them are kind of fly by night books that aren't aired. But there was one book that that came into the Indianapolis market. I put $1,000 into it. I won like 300. They limited me, and like 2 months later, they were out of the market. like like so, and what was the one that became Fanatics? What Points Bet? So
Yes.
yes, so like when you're in these markets with legalized books that have licenses and operate, Barstool just randomly changes into ESPN Bet. So you have to. I'm just kind of used to that. These things are going to pop up all the time. I just joined a crypto only book that's about as shady as it gets. So I won't be with them much longer. But yeah, the key is get as many sports books as humanly possible. You need as many outs. It's obviously a hell of a lot easier when you live in a state like Indiana, like I do, where I have a ton of them. But you can yeah, ways that you can get limited are most people think it's winning, and that does happen. But the more important factors are consistently beating lines on the bigger sports. Like I don't think they're gonna really care if you get in on a UFC play and that line moves because those lines move all the freaking time. But
Yeah,
if you're
sometimes on purpose.
but if you're consistently getting the best number of NBA spreads or NFL spreads, that's a good way. Um, I don't use the max. I don't max the bet on the sports books. Like if it, like because we bet some of the weirder things
Mhm.
that will have lower limit. Like there's a reason sports books will let you bet whatever you want on the NFL. There's a
Yeah.
reason why they'll only let you bet like 500 on darts or something. So
Mhm.
whatever the max is on a sports book, I never hit it. I spread it out from different books. So like if I have a UFC parlay that I love, for example, and it's available on a few different sports books, which it should be, I spread it out across those. Do you guys have strategies for using all the boosts books give to you? I try to hit the bare minimum requirement to get the boost. I don't ever use boosts. I don't ever use their boosts. I don't ever use their what was the promos they ran that were such the suggested parlays.
Yeah, that's a different look. If
Yeah.
it's a boosted line, I don't. Honestly, I go the other way.
There's always a
If you get
caveat.
Tyreek Hill 2 touchdowns boosted to plus 300, stay away from Tyreek Hill that week.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
reason. They're not
And
going to give that to everybody. I think you go the other way. If you have a parlay boost, that I use. So
but there can't be any like
it's no
like
funny
they
business. No.
always throw in a
Yeah.
little like tweak to it where it's like
Stipulation. Mhm.
50% parlay boost, but oh, it needs to be three legs in tennis. And you're like, well,
Yes.
and then you end up betting it, and then of course, it loses. So I steer absolutely clear of those. I don't mess with the boosts, and I also feel like they've changed quite a bit. They were putting out those promos and the boosts a lot early on, but it was to get new people.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that I don't think that they're using them as much. The other thing is if you do hit a few of them, you'll notice that your account won't get
Mhm.
any of them. And so I don't ever get offers for it. Probably because I never use it. Probably because they're like, why would we offer this guy this thing when his algorithm inside the company shows he hasn't used one in
Mhm.
4 years.
I get them in UFC. The
Okay.
past 2 weeks, I've gotten as you add here's where they get you is as you add your parlay legs, the bigger the boost. That's the stipulation on them because okay, I have 3 bets I love and they're safe. Okay, they're all minus 400. I'm getting close to even money on the parlay. With the boost, maybe I get plus 137. But if I add a fourth,
Yeah.
now I get this. Oh, but if I add a fifth, now it's 75. That's where they get
Oh
in
yeah.
trouble. Okay.
And
The
then you just
rule with parlays is the least amount of legs that you can get to have
oh
it be a
yeah.
good bet for you. And I've hit a couple good ones. I mean, I think they're good for totals. I like them using totals because most totals you get are going to be under minus 400. They allow you to parlay them. But yeah, as far as if Izzy's boosted to win against DPP, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah, the newer markets will flood them. New York was the best example of this. I had a buddy in New York and I told him, I was like, "Listen, here's what's going to happen. In New York, they're going to give you so many boosts and so many crazy plays." And I was like, "You got a 2-week window to hit all of them because they're going to give you some cupcakes and you're going to hit them and you're going to think these are the best things ever. And then you're going to give back all your money in,
Yeah.
in the next week and then some." And so he was sending me pictures of some of the plays they were giving him. And it was like, bet $100 for Tom Brady to throw a touchdown against the worst secondary. And you're like, man, this is like awesome. Well, then 4 weeks later, it was like, get a boost on Tom Brady to throw 4 touchdowns in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they changed big time, big time.
NFL's pretty ruthless with them. They're pretty weekly.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so those are some things about being limited. I've not really been the I will tell you, arbitrage betting is a great way to get limited. Don't do arbitrage betting. I did it for a little bit, and then I just started to see the holes, and now I hear that the books are all over arbitrage betting. That was I guess it's kind of a little bit of a fad. There
Mhm.
was, there was a well-known website, and well, all of us bettors know what that website is doing. The sportsbooks certainly know what they're doing, and so that as soon as they caught wind that you were arbitrage betting, they were like they just shut you off. They don't
Yeah,
even limit you. It's
that's
like you're
expected.
you're done, and it's so important to keep your access to these sports books. Like if you're thinking about doing anything shady, don't do it. Like sometimes you'll see like, oh, the books accidentally left something up after the event was halfway
Yes.
through or something. In the moment, it sounds great. Don't do that stuff
Uh-huh.
because they have the right to shut you off and limit you, whatever. And that's a great way to get them really, really mad at you. It's a long term game. Like being able to smash that one line that they like completely messed up and flipped. I mean, I like I remember they don't do it hardly as much anymore, but I remember DraftKings when they first started, they kept mixing up Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch.
I remember you told me about
And that
this.
was when Kyle Busch was like in a championship car and Kurt Busch was in just terrible. So you would get Kyle Busch and they meant to say Kurt Busch in these matchups and you could just like you could just crush them. But now if you do that, they first off they're going to void your bet. So
Mhm.
there's actually no reason to do that. They can just go and avoid your bet. But now you're on their radar, and it's a really really good way to do that. Hedging a parlay. If you're gonna hedge it, you do it on a different book.
Yep.
If you have a parlay on, or if you have a play or a parlay on DraftKings, you better not hedge it on DraftKings. You better hedge it on BetMGM or FanDuel, because that is another great way to put in those parlays and then hedge out of them at plus money. So yeah, so those are some tips about not getting limited. But really, your job is to get as many books as possible, so you have as many outs, so you can lock in the best. I don't know. For me, it's always it's have as many outs so you can get the best line, and that is true. It is really important in the props market, though. We play a lot of props.
Mhm.
I mean, how many props end on the hook? More than you would think.
You have to get the best line.
That is one, like when you're doing player props like we are
Mhm.
in like NBA, and a guy's rebounds is 8.5 at minus 140 at one book, and then it's 9.5 at plus 110, and that guy ends at 9, you're just so
You're
mad you
disgusting.
didn't take
Yeah.
the better number. So, um, yeah. Oh yeah, the PFL event
Yes, there
when
was
they tried to,
the
they
Phantom event, right? Yeah.
yes, yeah. And
We were just
Tommy,
talking about this.
we were
On
just talking
PFL
about
Live.
that. Yeah, the
Yeah.
event had happened, but 365 kicked me out. Yeah, it's tough because you want to grab that easy money, but you got to remember we want to take advantage of the profits that they're giving to us for the next few years, not just this one night. So if you're thinking that you're going to get one over on them, you're probably not, and it's
Yeah.
probably going to hurt you. So
Remember, in the shadows,
yeah,
winning in the shadows.
winning
You
in the
want to
shadows.
stay in the shadows.
We want to win in the shadows. We
Mhm.
we don't want the world to know what we're doing here. So. Yeah, so I think that is about it. If you guys don't have any other questions on bankroll management, but I want to do this every Monday. Feels like a great time to start this because, just like Monday Night Football is coming, so we can do some bankroll reset before we go into Monday Night Football. And I feel like this is going to be the best way to do that. So if you want to talk bankrolls and all that stuff, we'll keep doing that. So.
Post your questions down in the comments under this. We'll touch on them next week, definitely.
Yeah. So, you want to do Dana White Contender Series?
Let's do it, man. Let's knock it out.
All right. So here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna pretend like this is a brand new show, but we'll stay live here. We'll break down Contender Series here. So, we'll pull this up. I watched weigh-ins today. I'll pull these up.
This is funny. I don't know if my kid's crying or laughing upstairs.
Oh, that's scary.
It's all right. He's good. He's with his mother. He'll be all right.
That's the attitude.
Good to go.
Alrighty.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know live, not live during Monday Night Football, Austin. There's so many other shows that do that now. I like the way we approach football is we get the good numbers, we go from there. I will tell you, there will be live sack plays. That's going to be coming. Because one quarter can influence those lines very much, and you can get some great numbers. But yeah, sitting in front of it and just, again, we want to enjoy the sports that we're.
I will also tell you, I am horrible at live betting other sports. I can't crack the
You
code.
said that.
Like MMA, great. Great. I'll take it. I don't need to try and figure out the live betting. The only thing that I have had even remote success is running backs at the end of games if they put out a stupid number. Like a team's down by 10. Yeah, team's down by 10 with 3 minutes left and they over certain carries. Like they're not handing the ball off. Or the other way around, if a team is up by 4 with 3 minutes left and they give you a good number on a running back to get, or something. But that's it. I'm not even going to mess with it. So eliminate all the things that you're not great at.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna record this as if it's a different show, and I'll clip it. I'll clip it together. So forgive me if I go over the other parameters or the other specials and stuff. But I got to tell you, you are not going to want to miss what I have on Kanaev here. So I'm sharing the pictures that I sent to you, Jim.
Oh, I love it.
So, all right, here we go. Welcome, everybody, to Winning in the Shadows, breaking down Dana White Contender Series 2024, Week 2. Andy and Jim here. I will start off by saying I think this could be the best week of the season.
Agreed.
This
Definitely agreed.
All of these fights have a great story or a lot of potential for excitement. I do think it's pretty bettable. Let's get into the very first one: Billy Brand and Cody Haddon. What do you think about this fight?
Well, we got two guys here that are the only thing anybody can talk about either of them is that they fought two UFC fighters. All right, you got Billy Brand who fought Peyton Talbot, and then you got Steve Urseg on the other side. Now, I went back and watched this Peyton Talbot fight. That is not the Peyton Talbot that we know and love that Billy Brand fought. Not one bit. 1-0 Peyton Talbot. Excuse me if I don't put any stock in this guy losing. Keep in mind,
Getting finished?
yeah, getting finished by Peyton Talbot. I like what I see from Cody. I really do. I think he's more well rounded. I love the combinations. I mean, he uses every part of MMA in his game: punching, kicking, wrestling, grappling, elbows. Great takedown defense, good get up game. I've seen everything I need to see. The big question is, I guess, what if he doesn't get caught? Just don't get caught by Billy Brand. I think Brand might have the bigger KO power, but I don't think he's going to be able to catch Cody in this. I like Hatton. Again, coming out of Australia. We've seen these guys coming out of Australia have looked really good. And I think Billy Brand, they're kind of bringing him in here. Like, all right, he's 5-1. He fought Peyton. We can get a name here. All they're going to talk about on the broadcast is Billy Brand fought Peyton Talbot. Billy Brand
You're right.
fought Peyton, and took him to round 3. So give me Cody in this one. I don't know if it's a finish. He does tend to win by finish, but that's only a 6-1 record. I don't think it's a big enough sample size to just assume. But yeah, still playable by himself. Give me Cody.
I love Cody as well. I actually called Jim and I was like, "Can you watch this? Can you look at these fights? What your opinion? I don't want to tell you mine." I really like Cody Haddon in this matchup. Is he going to be a good UFC prospect? He'll probably win some fights in the UFC if he advances out of here. I have an interesting theory. I'm out on Uriah Faber's guys. Peyton Talbot is a unicorn. Peyton Talbot's a star. Like, he's just unbelievably gifted. He's got an aura about him. His physicality is like unmatched. And of course, Uriah Faber, partners up with UFC. I think they're pretty weak, man. We watched Juarez last week get steamrolled, and he's their champ.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering about these guys coming out of, this A1 combat. I mean, look at Billy Brand's. Okay, beat a guy that was 3-0, but then 1-1, 1-0, 0-1. Peyton Talbot's, second pro fight, 0-0. Got some good amateur fights, but he started in 2013, man. He
The pro
started
fight record looks like an amateur record.
It really does.
That's what an amateur, like Biagio Ali Walsh's competition has more wins than him.
Yeah,
We've
for
seen
sure.
what those guys look like.
For sure. Cody Haddon. I love his speed. I love his. Like you said, I love his combinations. He doesn't protect himself nearly as much as he should. He's too busy trying to land as many as he possibly can. But it works for him. He's tough. He's got a good chin. He's fought. I mean, he got a guy 9-7. Guy was 19-12. Guy was 5-0. He fought Urseg when Urseg was 6-1. So Urseg, pretty polished at that point. And they both have kind of started to wrestle a little bit more recently, I think. But I don't think Billy Brand is nearly as good on the feet as Cody Haddon is. I think their wrestling may cancel each other out. But this is Contender Series. These guys know Dana White doesn't want to watch you wrestle. Dana White wants.
You better sub him.
Yeah, you better ground and pound. You better do something. And I think Cody Haddon is just going to be more experienced. Another little caveat: Billy Brand was by far the worst at weigh-ins. He looked dead. He looked dead, man. He was not having a good time making weight. Is he going to be fine for tomorrow? Sure, but Haddon looked fine at weigh-ins. Haddon looked perfectly good. I think Haddon's going to have a little bit of the height advantage. I think he's going to be just a little bit bigger. I think he's going to do more damage on the feet, and he's less than minus 190, minus 180. To me, on Contender Series, I think that's a really, really good one. Remember you and I last week, we were like, yeah, kind of like Kavanaugh. Like, kind of
Yeah.
like Kavanaugh a lot. And it was like, yeah, it's minus 180, and then he absolutely steamrolls. So I don't want to miss out on that again. I'm keeping my eye on this, on Uriah Faber's guys.
Yeah.
I think there's a big chance these guys are like kind of fraudulent when they're coming out of here. So up next, Cam Roston and Torres Finney. Our boy Torres Finney from last season. What do you make of this fight?
I had to remember Torres. We were talking about it back. Oh, it's Torres. So yeah, he's our boy, man. Now listen, he's built like a little fire hydrant. I was a little worried when I saw the size difference until I went and I looked up film on Cam and watched film getting caught, dropped, and finished by guys that are probably shorter than Finney. So this big giant size advantage, he is so slow. He's one of these big, tall, lanky guys that the return on his techniques takes an eternity. He's slow to take the hands back, and boy, is Finney going to be able to catch him. I think Finney gets inside, picks him up, and just slams him, and it's all Finney from there. The size difference, I think, has a lot of people shook, especially at face-offs. It's got to be a cartoon. Well, you know what? Size isn't everything. If size was everything, Stefan Struve would be undefeated. And
Wow.
it didn't really work out that way. So I love Finney. Dana White brought him back for a reason. He's powerful. He's strong. We've seen his cardio hold up. He can only be getting better from what we saw last year. I think that they probably threw some pretty good investment money in him. I wouldn't be shocked if the UFC had something to do with that. So give me Torres Finney, probably by finish early. I really do not see Cam lasting 2 rounds with this guy.
Yeah, if you can find the prop, I would play it. Finney by Maul and Destruction. I mean, here's one thing that I don't hear a lot of in this industry. You guys know, Jim and I love our theories, and a lot of our theories are off the wall, but a lot of them have backstories to them. And that comes from really diving deep into doing some of the research. I actually heard like somebody like with a straight face talking about how he didn't get signed last season to Contender Series. Go back and watch what Dana said, why he didn't get signed to Contender Series. Dana said, you're really young, you're only 24 at the time, you're a tank, you've got some holes in your game, but you're going to be a beast in the UFC.
Yep.
I don't want to bring you along too slow. And he actually used the phrase, I would be doing you a disservice by putting you in the UFC right now. You need a little bit more work, and then you're going to be great. And the look on Finney's face, he was like kind of disappointed, but I almost thought he saw it coming.
Yeah.
And knew. And by the way, Dana White is right. There are some guys.
Great call.
It was a great call. So Dana's sitting there going, get him another fight, get him a year's worth of training. We'll bring him back, and he'll smash a guy on Contender Series. And then we got a Torres Finney who's only 25. He's only 25 years old. This is right in Dana's wheelhouse. So, but just by saying, well, Finney didn't get signed last season, you're missing the whole point as to why he didn't. So what does Finney do? Get some more training. And by the way, Finney's striking defense was really bad last time. And his striking was it was mediocre. He just threw wild. So he goes and he fights Tyson Jeffries, and he kills him. His striking, it was only minute 33. His striking is already better. Already absolutely better. It's much more under control. It's a lot more pointed. And this Cam Roston, so Cam Roston hasn't fought since 2022 where he beat, I watched this fight, and good God, no power, no speed, no movement. I have it written down here. So the combined record of the opponents Roston has beaten is 12-27. And look what happens when he steps up in competition. He fights a guy who's 4-0, and he gets knocked out in the first round. And then he loses to Jacob Malkoun in Jacob Malkoun's first fight.
Which means Jacob Malkoun literally did not know how to punch.
So
Like he was a pure wrestler at that point.
yeah, yeah. So Roaston is not strong enough to keep Finney off. Finney is going to pick this guy up with ease and slam him down. And you go, well, maybe he could get sparked. Maybe Finney gets caught on the chin. This guy does not punch hard enough. I've watched him. He doesn't. And he hasn't fought in 2 years. This feels like Dana had this circled last year on Contender Series. So it's Finney probably by finish. It is Finney by finish. It's by finish. This guy's not going to survive. So Cortavius Rubius over Michael Imperato. I had a big change of heart on this one watching weigh-ins. What's your take on this fight?
Fireworks.
Yeah.
Fireworks. Not playing aside. No way. I thought Michael looked horrible.
Didn't he?
Right?
He looked terrible.
They're bringing Cortavius back. He did him a favor with Tavares last year. He's at a size disadvantage. These two are going to go to the center of the cage and fire away. This fight's probably ending in round one. I think they're just going to go at it and somebody's going to fall down. I would not be surprised to see Cortavius knock this guy out quite quickly. I did not think he looked good at weigh-ins one bit. I didn't like the vibe. Skill set wise, I mean, again, it goes over. They're just bangers. They're going to come out like two alley cats. I don't think they're going to be cautious. We haven't seen that on Contender Series, and you can't be cautious and get a contract. We had a guy last week win a fight, apparently dominantly because it was a unanimous decision, and he still didn't get a contract. You have to go for the finish. So that's going to lend to fireworks. I can't wait to see what the total is on this fight.
I mean, last year, with Finney, Dana was like, "Yeah, you're not getting a contract, but we'll see you." Remember he didn't give Knutson a contract, and then 3 weeks later, she was fighting in the UFC because everyone told him he was a dipshit. Last week, Dana gave him the "I'm not giving you a contract, and I'm really disappointed in you." Yes. Like it was like the complete talk down to you move on your merry way. We'll never see you again. So I'm with you that Thunder is the only way to play this one. I couldn't believe how bad Imperato looked. I didn't recognize him. I was like, who? I had my screen open, but it wasn't enlarged, and I saw this small little fella get on the scale, and I was like, who is that? Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, this is Michael Imperato. I was like, that? What happened to him? He looked terrible. Absolutely. So
again, coming from the Canadian regional scene, not a great scene either.
His fights have been pretty tough to watch. I know there's a submission here, but this guy, Ricky Badeas, is pretty bad. I mean, just look at Rumius's round one. He did lose a split decision, but most recently, man, his fights are over real quick. And if he does what he did against Ramon Tavares, which is just stand there and throw as many punches as you can in the first 30 seconds, it should be pretty good. So, all right, guys, if you could hit the like button. If you have not subscribed to the Winning in the Shadows YouTube channel, go ahead and do that. Get notified of all of our UFC content, PFL content. We got NFL futures up every week. We do Dana White Contender Series. And Jim, we cannot talk enough and more highly about our live shows, right?
Oh, they've been great. They've been great. We've been hitting some numbers that are just outlandish. We could sit here and piss and moan about judging, or we can make it work for ourselves. And that's what we've done over the past couple of weeks. Please join us if you have the time. One thing we just noticed is these live bets, when rounds could be 1-1. These judges, we just had a judge removed for giving a 30-27. I mean, some value in these live lines. And you're seeing things that you can't build into your handicap. And when you can't build that into the number, you have to see it live. You have to be available to watch it. So please join us for Contender Series. Join us for PFL, UFC. We've been really doing well live.
Yeah, the show's called Takedown Live, and we do all the events. Last week we got Bruno Lopez at plus 154. Mm-hmm. When it looked like he got knocked down, it turned out he just kind of tripped a little bit, and all of a sudden the line just went the other way. And then you get weird things like last week we noticed one fighter came out with his teenage friends,
high school soccer team friends apparently or something.
and his opponent came out with Ben Henderson. So that was an easy bet, and it cashed, of course. So those are the kind of odd things that you get. And by the way, the Contender Series live shows, I would say, are my absolute favorite. We award the BMF award at the end of the night for the best performance, and then we go to the end of the season where we award the best fighter of the season, and the winner of the BMF of last season was Carlos Prates, who has still been cashing tickets for us in the UFC. So a lot of fun. Please join us at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Let's get into here we go. Here's the
ahead.
fight.
I'm
Here's the
giving you the
fight
lead
I
on this
can't
one.
wait to talk about. Rizvan. I think it's Kanaev. I've heard Kanaev and Kniev. So whatever way you want to pronounce it, against Hugo Kana. Can I start first? Can I please start first?
Yeah, go.
Okay. So this is what, if you don't do your due diligence and you don't do your research, you're gonna end up with Kanaev in your in your parlays at minus 600, thinking, wow, I got a guy who beat Renan Ferreira, and then it got ruled to a no contest. Well, I wonder what happened to this guy who has been on an absolute tear. Well, after he beat Renan Ferreira, he tested positive for all the steroids. Like, I don't think there was a steroid that this man was not taking. He was part of the entire PFL dust up where a bunch of them got popped, but he was one that was taking the hard shit. Like, this was not the Barry Bonds cream. This was the jab at my ass level of steroids. So we haven't seen Kanaev in a long, long time since that Ferreira fight. So I went back, Jim, and I decided to do a little side-by-side comparison. Let's take a look at so this picture on the left is right before the fight starts. This is the night he beat Ferreira and then tested positive for steroids. Ladies and gentlemen, this is him this morning at weigh-ins. That looks like a man who is not on the steroids anymore.
And keep in mind, this is the same weight class.
Yes, this
He
is.
wasn't at welterweight and now heavyweight. That was him
Yes.
at heavyweight. This is him at heavyweight.
So, now, I know what you're saying. Oh, come on. You guys are exaggerating. How could you possibly know he was taking that many steroids? Well, let's take a look at his back. So, look at the skin issues going on at this man's back. This was the night he beat Renan Ferreira, and this is him this morning. Jim, you've been in that world for a long time. I don't remember seeing that big of a stark contrast between someone's back skin.
The skin is one thing. The body type you've only seen when somebody like Carl Williams decides to go up to a weight class, and he just puts on flab. This is weird, man. I mean, like, you want to talk about the gyno drip that he's got him in both. It screams steroids.
What's describe the gyno drip?
So, like, your hormones go just like out of whack when you're pumping yourself full of all the steroids. So if you look at your pecs drop. Everybody used to say it about Izzy. You get the one, so you get this little dip going on here. All of a sudden, your nipples pointing south. It's that gyno. I forget what the actual technical term is, but we always used to call it gyno boob. So, we get changed before a tournament and go, wait a minute.
I would say we get some pretty good evidence here that there's been a lot of steroids going on. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, that means I'm not betting on a guy who is completely off of the juice and clearly was on the juice for a long period of time. I mean, seriously, you think they're testing in Pro FC and UMC and Goretz FC and Eagle, and no way. This is a guy who won on Contender Series in 2021. Um, if you lay minus 600 on this man, you are asking for trouble.
Mhm.
So, who's his opponent? I actually kind of like him. I actually kind of like Hugo Cunha, and here's what I like about him. Um, he doesn't fade like most guys his size. This fight against Edward Neves, who's terrible, but he is a fighter who we've seen before. Uh, Kuna really finished him late in round two and did not look like his energy was dropping. He's fought bad competition, but he's finished most of them. But I watched him go the distance, close split decision on one championship. And what do we say, Jim? I would much rather have this guy be 8-1 than 9-0. He's tasted defeat. How did he respond by losing? Well, he goes to LFA, beats Batista, and then gets Armstrong Nez. I think you're asking for trouble to lay this kind of price. Kanaev. This is my upset pick of the week. I think
Mhm.
Hugo. If you don't know the backstory of Kanaev, you're just going to throw this in parlays, and I think that's a massive mistake. I got Hugo winning either by decision or winning by knockout or submission in round three when Kanaev just gasses himself and can't really do anything. This is also a terrible contender series is not like if Kanaev tries to do what he did against Renan Ferrer, which is
It's
hold
not
him
going to work.
against the fence the whole
No.
time, the ref's just gonna break him and it's gonna be on the feet. So,
Mhm.
what do you think? Sprinkle on Hugo? Is it worth it? I
Most
think it.
definitely. It's going to be Kanaev in the first 3 minutes. After that, he's got no shot. Just literally no shot. His cardio is going to fall off such a cliff if he's not on the juice, and he's got to wrestle this giant of a man,
This
Hugo.
guy's huge.
When they faced off, there is no size advantage for Kanaev either. And you can say
Absolutely.
what you want about when he fought Ferreira as well, but that was when Ferreira had zero ground game. I can't stress that enough. Okay, you replay that fight now, it doesn't go that way, even if he's on the steroids. Um, yeah, I think Hugo's worth a sprinkle. I think this line is going to move severely. If it doesn't and it keeps piling, just bide your time, and you might get a great live line as well. Because if Kanaev's going to throw some heat in the beginning of the fight, and if it stays standing for 3 rounds, it'll be interesting. So yeah, stay away from the favorite.
Last fight, main event: Pat Pitlick and Andreas Gustafsson. Um, I sent something out on Twitter about Gustafsson's fight a couple fights ago, and Tommy Unders reached out and was like, "Yeah, I remember that fight. I had Gustafsson at minus 500." So he's been following
Mhm.
Gustafsson for a while. He mentioned something that I had no idea about. This is why it's so important to know the backstory. He told me this is the first fight Gustafsson hasn't there has to be tested
Mhm.
for banned substances. He did not look as swole as he did
Not at
in
all.
in previous fights. So you gotta wonder what's going on there. Um, I mean, this is I have this as early nominee for fight of the year. This is gonna be insane. Who do you like in
Mhm.
this fight?
I'm going with Pat. His backstory was something real interesting. You touched on that with me yesterday. He had a bad neck injury, took some time off, took a boxing fight because he couldn't feel his legs. Like when you hear
Yeah,
something like that, you're like, what? Um, Look, after face-offs, I think Pat knows something, man. I think I was getting some kind of a vibe. It wasn't cockiness, but it's almost like he's looking at him like, wow, you don't look as big. Oh, wait, you're not fighting in Russia. This is the UFC. He was on the Ultimate Fighter. He's been around this organization. If this gets after 2 minutes, I really like Pat, just from his skill set wise too. I think these guys are gonna throw down, and whoever's cardio goes first or chin goes first, they're gonna hit the deck. This is another one I love to not go the distance. I think somebody gets exposed in this fight. I know they're both tough, but I can see somebody proving that they're not supposed to be here or something's off.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, Tommy also brought up that Gustafsson's coming down a weight
Oh,
class. So,
jeez, that's just a
so
recipe for disaster.
yeah, so the fight I was talking about was Gustafsson versus Tony Lampinen. Do yourself a favor and go watch this fight. It is one of the craziest, bloodiest, most violent fights I've seen. Um, I went and looked up Tony Lampinen. Lampinen lost and really absorbed a dangerous amount of punishment. And look what happened to him. He got knocked out like the next two fights. He like I know he got knocked out here, but previous loss was a decision. He did get knocked out before, but while I was watching that fight, I was like, I wonder how these guys are going to do after. I mean, it was kind of one of those career altering, life changing amount of punishment. So, Gustafson's beating Lampard pretty bad in the first, and then Lampard just nails him with a shot that breaks Gustafson's nose. They're both bleeding everywhere. They're both trading a bunch of shots. Gustafsson finally gets the upper edge, but he's an animal, man. And it was interesting because I wanted to see how he was going to look after that fight. Dude fought like 5 months later, and the fight only lasted 10 seconds. So you didn't get a chance to see like how recovered he was. He is an absolute tough SOB. And yeah, Pat Pitlick, I know what you're talking about with weigh-ins. There was something strange going on. So Pat Pitlick's story is he has this fight against Jake Lindsay, and he has this back injury, and he says I can't kick and I can't wrestle. So he boxes because he's like I can still punch, and he somehow goes to a draw, except his back is completely messed up. So he has to get surgery. Comes back, knocks a couple guys out in unified MMA, and be honest, looked really good doing it. Thought he looked healthy. What was weird was I like Pitlick too because it feels like this is a setup for him because he's got history with the UFC.
Yeah, it's strange, right?
Did you notice that the guy like doing the weigh-in stuff, they were friends? It was good to see you again. Mm-hmm. And the staff like knew him, knew like he had been around them for a while. Or there was something about like why does Pitlick feel right at home here? So so Pitlick was involved in the Let Me Bang Bro episode of The Ultimate Fighter, and he tells the story. I don't know if he was actually fighting there, but he was like there.
No, he was. I think he was one of the ones holding people back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he was. So he tells this story about. It's like, yeah, we were. The night got completely out of control. The next thing I know, it's just the morning, and Dana White's in the house like yelling at people, can't do this, can't do that. And he's like, I realized I got so blackout drunk the night before, I don't remember 1 second of it. He's like, I don't remember anything about the Let Me Bang Bro thing because everyone was so drunk. So, Pat Pitlick has some very strange history with UFC. The other weird thing why there is no chance in hell this thing is going the distance. Like, I think it's under 1.5. Both these guys are in their 30s.
Yeah.
And what does Dana always say?
You gotta win convincingly. If he's gonna sign you at the 30s,
he says, "I'm not looking for a 30-year-old contender." So they're putting a 33-year-old and a 35-year-old against each other. One of these guys is gonna have to put on the performance of a lifetime. It's got to be this viral knockout, so Dana can put him in there. But this is Dana that gave Jose Medina a contract for getting his ass kicked against a Magomed last season, just because Dana had a good feel for him. There's something about this kid. So, all right. So let's recap. We both like Cody Hayden over Billy Brand. We like Finney by Murder. I think we like Ramius, right? Inside the Distance?
Ramius, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely inside the distance, unders. Yeah.
Yeah, Imperato, man, there was just something off about him at weigh-in. It just didn't look like the guy that I had watched in previous videos. We're calling for the upset. Hugo kind of against a non-roided up Rizvin there. So there's just too many red flags with the guy's physical appearance. So, and then we'll take a stab on Pat Pitlick as a nice underdog. So last week, what was it? 4 favorites, 1 underdog, 1. Yeah. So we're going to go with 3 favorites and 2 underdogs for the video. We do have our 5% play that is up. Make sure you go ahead and grab that. One last look at Rizvin. It's just too much for me, man. It's too much. So, so 5% UFC Dana White Contender Series plays are up. We're still running the special buy 7 days for the price of 3. That is good until Tuesday night. So lock that thing in now. That way you get all of our contender series plays out. So that is going to do it for us, guys. Good luck on all your plays. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Join us on the Winning in the Shadows YouTube channel. And we will be live for Takedown Live on the YouTube channel called Winning in the Shadows. We're going to be watching all the contender series live, and we'll be hopefully making some more profits off of some of our live bets. Good luck on your plays.
Watching them coaches.
And we're watching the coaches. We're watching the body language, uniform. We've hit a couple fade the uniform theory plays. So the live show is definitely where it's at. Hope to see everyone there. Good luck on your plays. We'll see everyone later.
See you tomorrow.